Political activist Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed at the age of 31 at a university rally in Utah in what marks one of the bloodiest and most tragic weeks possibly in American history. Now, we have all the reactions from people all across the web, from the president to different political commentators. I'm going to weigh in with my thoughts and reactions as well. And then we're going to speak to some young Americans and see what they actually have to say, not only about Charlie, but about the impact that this is going to have on America, the fallout, and where America goes from here. So first, we're going to jump over to the reaction from President Trump. He just released a statement from the White House in the Oval Office. Let's take a listen to a few seconds of what Trump had to say.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain.
A little snippet from President Trump's statement. And by the way, not to sound callous in this situation, because it's obviously a very heavy topic, am I the only one who thinks this is AI? Just throwing it out there. I've seen a couple of Trump statements here. These definitely seem like AI to me. But that's a topic that we can touch on for another day. Now, going on to some more different reactions here about the fallout from Charlie Kirk's passing. The New York Yankees just held a moment of silence for Charlie at their latest game. And I think a lot of people are really surprised about how far the reaction to this is really stretching. How many people seem to be touched by this situation from all different aisles of politics. Obviously, Charlie Kirk, a very vocal conservative, somebody who was obviously on one side of this debate. There's no confusion about that. But to me, the outpouring of reaction has been quite shocking as well. Not only have we seen, a lot of tributes from people on the right, we've also seen tributes from people on the left. Bernie Sanders has weighed in, sending his thoughts and prayers to the family. Barack Obama has made a statement speaking on this. Let's actually go ahead and pull up Obama's statement really quick before we listen to this statement from Myron Gaines and a couple of the other statements that were put out by political commentators and streamers of the same vein. Obama's statement reads as follows. He says, I just want to make sure you guys can see this on the screen as well. He says, "We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife, Erica, and their two young children." And I got to say, guys, I'm going to weigh in a little bit more with my thoughts and reactions in a second. But what I will say before we jump into the rest of these clips is that I actually do like the fact that people on both sides of the aisle are coming out and speaking on this, because this is pretty disgusting. It's not pretty disgusting. It's flat out disgusting. The idea that you can be murdered in cold blood for having a political discourse. This is reminiscent of an era that we don't, I think, want to go back to. And this is definitely not a marker of the America. When we think and speak about the America, the idea of America that we know of today, this kind of violence really has no place in it. And this is not a political statement by me. I don't give a damn what side of the political aisle you're on. I don't care if you're an ultra conservative, and I don't care if you're an ultra liberal. To be shot in the neck like that and have the video circulating when you have 2 young children, it's absolutely reprehensible. I honestly can't think of something worse. And this is really, really a dark time for America. Let's listen to a couple of the reactions from other streamers before I jump in further. This one is from Myron Gaines, of course, of the Fresh and Fit podcast. And also a guy, by the way, who does his own college tours, who does his own speaking. So obviously he was quite touched by this. Let's take a listen.
I need all of you. If you're watching right now, I need everybody to pray for Charlie.
This was before he was pronounced dead, by the way. That's why he's speaking as if there was still a chance.
Guys, I need all of you. If you're watching right now, I need everybody to pray for Charlie. I see there's a couple of Twitter spaces. I'm going to go into one of them so you guys could hear real-time updates. I just saw the footage not too long ago. I'm just going to join this thing right quick for you guys.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm the chairman of the College Republicans of America. I had 5 students working the event with Charlie. The latest updates we're getting from those students, one whose friend is at the hospital and one who's a state rep in Utah, have both said that Charlie has passed. And that is unconfirmed by the news. This is just the word on the ground.
Can I ask quickly, who confirmed that?
One of my students who is near the hospital and one who is a state rep from Utah.
So Myron Gaines, visibly emotional, learning that Charlie Kirk had indeed passed. And I got to say, we've never seen Myron like this. Myron is a guy who's made an entire career off making a show of strength. He has a lot of shtick. I mean, I don't know how serious Myron is half the time. You know, a lot of the time I think he's trolling. A lot of the time I think he's putting on a front. But a very rare, candid moment from Myron Gaines, and a moment that, again, is very out of character for him, something that we really have not seen often. Hopping over to another reaction, Hasan Piker also spoke on this, and it's interesting that we're hearing from these guys right now because, again, these are guys who are in a similar ilk, so to speak, when it comes to being political commentators. Because whether you agree with them or not, like, look, some people can say that Hasan is better than Charlie or Charlie was better than Hasan, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you agree with. There are many people on the other side who view them as just as evil as you do the guy that you disagree with. So if you're a Hasan guy and you like Hasan but you hate Charlie Kirk, we have to remember there's a whole group of people who feel the opposite. If you're a Charlie Kirk fan and you hate the other guy, there's another guy who hates Charlie Kirk just as much as you hate Hasan, and vice versa. So it almost feels like these dudes are waking up, in a sense, to the fact that they're playing with fire in this situation. Let's listen to what Hasan had to say about this. And people are also, it's funny because Hasan just yesterday was actually calling for the violence against Nick Fuentes. He was just saying on stream that there should be violence taken against Nick Fuentes. Let's listen to this. A lot of people are finding it hypocritical now that Hasan is coming on the air crying and weeping over political violence when just yesterday he was calling to have political violence against another man. Let's take a listen.
No, we gotta, the moment is clear. You gotta sick like the ACP guys on him. Okay, that's it. You gotta get one of those like Dink type motherfuckers to just like eat his ass alive, you know? Let him fight. whatever the fuck his name is. What is it? The Albanian dude. Lots of Twitter randos calling for violence against you. Stay safe, bud. I know, man. What else is new? You know, this is every day. Every day of my life. Okay? Every day of my life for the past 10 years. It is what it is. It's been happening, and it'll. Dude, people will be like, "Oh, dude, there is a. There are people who are wishing death upon you all over the internet." Like, I know, of course, people fucking wish death upon me. What do you mean? If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
Wow. An unbelievable, blatant display of hypocrisy here coming from Hasan Piker, but of course that's not really something that's new for him. Now, I got to tell you guys, man, this whole situation is an absolute nightmare. When I first saw the video of Charlie Kirk getting shot, I first saw the video that was far away. So I saw the clip where somebody had filmed it from the back of the rally. And in that clip, it didn't really look as terrible as it did in the close-up video. To me, when I first saw the clip of him getting shot, it kind of looked like he got shot in like the stomach. So it looked like he took the shot and maybe fell back. And when I first saw it, I was like, wow, Charlie Kirk got shot. But I figured he would probably survive. That was my initial reaction when I saw the video. I figured he probably would have made it. And even then, the chances are slim. I mean, look, you get shot, a bullet rips through you like that. The one thing I did put together is that it was probably from long range. So a bullet like that rips through you, the chances of survival are usually quite slim no matter what. But when I saw the far away video, I figured there was at least a chance. But when I saw that close-up video, and guys, if you haven't seen the close-up video, trust me, I'm not going to show it. I'll get kicked off YouTube. But if you haven't seen the close-up video of this incident, I highly recommend you don't watch it. I honestly wish I could go back and remove that from my brain. Because when it comes to things that I've seen, like I'm not talking dark web, I'm not talking RedTube or, wait, RedTube, pause. I'm not talking, like, what's that website? Live Leak? That's the one I meant to say. Bro exposed himself live on stream. I'm not talking Live Leak. I'm not talking dark web. Like, you can see some pretty gruesome shit on there. But when I'm talking about stuff that I've seen just scrolling on social media, scrolling through X, first of all, this video shouldn't even be allowed on there. Okay, I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm all for freedom of, internet and everybody having access and all this shit. I get it. I get freedom of speech. I get freedom of access. But goddamn, dude. That's the last shit that I ever wanted to see, and it's definitely the most gruesome thing I have ever seen on the general internet. But when I saw that video, I knew there was no chance he was going to survive this. I mean, I was optimistic, as I would be for anybody, by the way. I'm not coming into this as a Charlie Kirk fan. I'm not coming into this as a fan of anybody. To be honest with you guys, I'm not even a fan of politics at this point in my life. I don't believe in politics. I stay up on things because I like to be informed, but the level of division that's occurring in America right now is not something that appeals to me. So I'm not a guy who's championing the right at this point, and I'm not a guy who's championing the left. If somebody on either side makes sense that day, I lean towards them. But I'm not a guy who really is a champion of politics at this point because I don't believe, and this is exactly why, by the way. This is exactly why, because look at what the fuck is happening in this world and in this country. Look at it. Take a look at what's occurring. So when I saw the video of the up close, I knew it was probably over. And this is definitely upsetting to me. Again, not because I'm Mr. Charlie Kirk, not because I'm Mr. Right Wing, not because I believe for everything this dude stands for. None of that. But the fact that we even have to justify that, the fact that we even have to justify why we don't support cold-blooded murder and have it be shrouded in political messaging, like, well, you can only say it's bad that Charlie Kirk was murdered in cold blood in broad daylight if you're a Republican. A liberal would never, like, guys, wake the fuck up. This is crazy. The fact that we're even having to discuss this in this way is genuinely crazy. And this to me is why it's important to have different voices and to keep the dialogue going. Now, I'm not Mr. Charlie Kirk. I'm not Mr. Right Wing. I'm not the guy who watches all this stuff. And I'm not necessarily a fan of these people. But the one thing I always did respect about Charlie Kirk's work, even when I found he was really off base with his opinions, was the fact that he encouraged an open dialogue. The fact that he spent a lot of time talking to and having a discourse with people that he disagreed with. That to me is incredibly important, and he would always say, and I've seen the clips where he says, when people stop talking, that's when the violence starts. When people stop having conversations, that's when people get hurt. That's when people get killed. Now, I know the guy who fired this bullet was attempting to silence Charlie Kirk and silence his ideologies. But I would be willing to say that, if anything, this dude is pushed on that part of his ideology and proven him right. Because whoever fired that bullet yesterday, or today, I guess, in American time zone, they proved that point exactly. They were not interested in talking. They were past the point of talking. And when you get past the point of talking like this, that's when shit gets dangerous. So that's kind of, I really hope that there can be some kind of silver lining from this, that we can take this tragic example, because I do think it's tragic. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. And I would, again, if you're saying this isn't tragic because you're a liberal or you're this or that, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Because this is a really tragic situation. But that's the one thing I will say about Charlie Kirk. I always appreciated the fact that he was pushing to have discourse. No matter how much I thought he was off base about Israel. And I'm not even, see, that's the thing. I don't even want to sit here and pick it apart, because there's a man who's dead. And it doesn't really feel right to do that. Now here's the other aspect to this too that I will add before we have a caller. We do have a young American who's going to be calling in to give his perspective in just a moment. And if there's other callers who want to call in, if you want to call in and speak on this, and if you have something to say, my Instagram is CassiusMorris_. Just look at the spelling of my name on YouTube. Jump in my message request. Shoot me a DM right now. I'm going to check my DM in about 5 minutes, and we'll get some callers on so I can hear what you guys have to say about this. I want to hear from especially Americans, young Americans, about this. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear some of your reactions. You don't, again, if you're a liberal and you say, fuck this guy, call in and let's talk about it. If you're Charlie Kirk's biggest fan, call in and let's talk about it. CassiusMorris_ on Instagram. We already have some callers lined up. But here's the other aspect of this that I will add before we take some calls, is that I really hate to say it, but I did see this coming. Not necessarily for Charlie Kirk, but I've seen this coming for one of these guys probably ever since Trump was shot at. I figured something like this would definitely happen at some point in the very near future to one of these political commentators. I didn't know if it would be Charlie Kirk. I didn't know if it would be Nick Fuentes. I didn't know if it would be Candace Owens. Now, I'm not wishing this on anybody, but when we look at how supercharged the political climate is at this point in time, I can't say that this is a surprise at this point, because people have lost their fucking minds. People have genuinely lost their minds with this division, and it's become so hair-triggered and so supercharged. And I'll tell you guys this, that's actually why I stepped away myself from getting into the political content. Around the time that Trump got shot and around the time of the election, I started dabbling in political content on this channel, and I actually started doing very well with it. People were resonating with my opinions. My stream of the election and my streams of the Donald Trump appearance on Joe Rogan got hundreds of thousands of people to watch. Each one of those streams, I had approximately 35,000 to 45,000 people watching my live streams, which for me as a still up and coming creator, those are big numbers. 40,000 people. I'm filling a stadium talking about politics at that point as an up and coming creator. And people wanted me to continue. People liked what I have to say about politics, but looking at the climate of things, I found myself at a crossroads. I found myself at a point where I could either go left or go right. Pun intended, I suppose. But I was like, okay, I can keep doing this political stuff and step into this supercharged climate, which is actually becoming quite dangerous, or I can pivot back to my other stuff and avoid it. And I made the choice, guys, not because I don't want to do numbers, not because I don't think I'm good at it, not because I don't think I have something to say. I made the choice to get out of politics at that time for this exact reason, because this is becoming dangerous. People like Ben Shapiro, people like Candace Owens, and people like Charlie Kirk now, rest in peace, they're in danger now. Like, this is beyond political commentary. This is beyond conversation. This is dangerous territory. And we are living in a time in 2025 where you can be murdered in broad daylight for sharing ideas. People want to shoot you in the head now for talking. Love or hate Charlie Kirk, he never called for violence against anybody. I'm not well versed in all of his work, but from what I did see, I've seen many clips of Charlie Kirk speaking against violence. I've seen many clips of Charlie Kirk disavowing violence and making a case for the fact that we should never have violence in the political sphere. So if that guy can get shot and killed in cold blood, then nobody's safe. This isn't even a guy who called for violence. This is a guy who was doing stuff for young people to open up a dialogue in the country that badly needed it. And again, I don't agree with most of what he has to say, a lot of what he has to say, or had to say. But I still would keep an eye on it Because I think it's better to have a Charlie Kirk in the world than to not have a Charlie Kirk in the world, because look at how fucked up everything is. Look at how little people are communicating. We need to communicate because people are getting murdered now. We need to communicate now more than ever because people want to shoot each other in the head for their beliefs. So I don't think you can make any case for less communication. I don't think you can make any case for the fact that we don't need to communicate, that we don't need to talk. I don't think you can make a case for that. So we're going to take a call here from a young American who goes by the name of T, and we're going to talk to him about this situation. Again, if you guys want to call in, hit me on Instagram. T.
Yeah.
What's happening, my brother? How you doing?
Okay. Doing pretty good, Cash.
Good, man. So let's jump right into it, brother. You saw the news yesterday. First of all, you were aware of Charlie Kirk before this, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of Charlie Kirk, actually. Before his assassination today, I was going to go see him in a few weeks at Virginia Tech. So
Really?
I was really looking forward to that, yeah.
Okay, so an actual fan and somebody who followed his work. Now, when you
Sir?
first heard that he got shot, was your first reaction that he, like, what was your reaction? Did you think that he would pull through, or how exactly did you take it at first?
Well, like you said, that first angle I saw was all the way back in the stadium, and it looks like he got shot in the chest or stomach. But as it went on, I saw he got shot in the throat. And, I mean, it's the jugular at the end of the day, so all we could do was just sit and pray. And I was hoping he was going to pull through. We really prayed about it, but as we saw, he passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, I kind of felt the same way. When you see that close-up angle, which is so gruesome, I think there was a lot of thoughts and prayers, but, I don't know much about guns, but I don't think you really need to looking at that. There's really no way you can really survive that.
No, with a shot like that, the assassinator knew what he was doing, apparently.
Yeah, so you think that somebody would have to have a pretty skilled shot. Again, I'm not a gun guy, but
Yeah.
that didn't look like a dude who picked up a gun for the first time.
Whoever shot Charlie Kirk today knew what they were doing, because they obviously had to have some sort of rifle with the wound size. And with how big the stadium is, you got to say they're at least 200 yards out. Whoever shot him is skilled.
Wow. Now, my biggest question, and again, I'm not sort of going to you for the answer to this because you weren't there, but how the hell can somebody get in position to shoot at an event with so many people there? It looked like there was thousands of people there. There was obviously not enough police presence, but there was a police presence in the area. How would you think that somebody could even get in there with such a large-scale weapon undetected and get out, by the way, without getting caught? That to me, it seems to be one of the biggest questions about the whole thing.
I was questioning that myself, because just like the Trump assassination, how did the guy get on top of it? Assume from the shot angles, this guy was up or somewhere high, because if you see, he kind of went went high to low, so he was up somewhere high. So, first of all, how did he get on campus with a rifle? I don't know. This whole thing just kind of seems a little suspicious, because with a rifle of that caliber, you can't conceal a rifle of that caliber.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, because, it's one thing if you're in the front row with a handgun, or like you pull out a concealed weapon quickly and you fire a shot. But to me, with a gun that big, it would take some time and maybe if you've shot rifles or things like that, maybe you could speak to this. Like I would imagine it takes some time to set that up and get that shot in position.
Well, as a cold-blooded American, I own guns. I've shot all sorts of calibers. I've shot shotguns, rifles, handguns. And with a rifle, it's hard to stabilize it because to the stream watching, if you guys ever shot a rifle, it's hard to stabilize the barrel and the scope to make a perfect shot like that. If you're 200 yards out and you're shaking a little bit, you're not going to be able to make an accurate shot. So, yeah.
Wow. So this would have taken some time. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of details that come out about this, and I think we'll start to figure this out in time. Now, T, when you did hear that he was shot, were you surprised, and was this something that you could have expected to happen to a guy like Charlie Kirk, or was this something that you could have never expected to happen?
When I heard the news, I thought it was fake. I never thought in a million years you would get shot in America for having your opinion. And it's not like he's a political, guy. He just has an opinion, and he goes around debating people, and everybody settles on their own opinion. I never thought in a million years a guy that would go to college's campus just to have his own opinion would get shot like that in broad daylight, like you said. That is insane to me. Never thought in a million years a guy like Charlie Kirk would get shot for having an opinion.
Yeah, so you didn't see this coming.
I didn't see this coming at all. I never thought he would get shot. I never saw this coming.
Now, what part of America are you, if you don't mind sharing, like at least the state?
I'm in Virginia.
So what do you think is the general perception of Charlie Kirk from young Americans, let's say late teens, early 20s, in a state like Virginia? Do you feel like, and again, you can only speak from your experience, but do you feel like he's generally well liked, or do you feel like there's a lot of people who kind of have it out for a guy like Charlie Kirk? Because it seems to me like it's pretty split down the middle. I think there's a lot of people who obviously did hate him, but he also has a massive base as well, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to pack out all these campuses every single appearance.
Every single person I've ever talked to that's a young American has liked Charlie Kirk. But you also have your left side people that don't like him but still respect him for the work he does. And, I love that guy. But everybody that I've talked to has loved the guy for his opinions, for the person who he is, and for the face, and for all of everything he done for America.
Yeah, so he was generally pretty well liked by young Americans. Now, you were going to go see him in a couple of weeks. Does something like this, and the fact that, Trump was even shot at one of his rallies, as a young American yourself, does this make you have second thoughts about going to political rallies and having your voice heard? Because, from where I'm sitting, it doesn't really matter what your political views are. I think especially in a country like America, you should have the right to go out, have demonstrations, have, collective discussion. Does this give you second thoughts about going to these rallies and going to these events, or are you still, feeling the same about going to do that?
It's a scary thought to think that you could go to an event and the person you're seeing getting shot, or any open fire situation around your area. Now, in America, it just depends where you are, because if you have good security, you're going to have guns too. But in a place like Virginia, it's open carry. So basically what open carry means is you can, as long as you're showing that you have a gun on you and you're over the age of 18 years old, you can carry a gun in Virginia. So as far as safety concerned, I would say no. But it's just crazy to think that somebody could be shot just going to an event for an opinion. But I would still go to them. But it's a little more, I'd proceed with a little more caution than I would used to, especially after an event like today.
Now, I think one of the big questions that this is raising too is the issue of gun control. Now, again, we don't have all the answers right now, but many people are pointing to the fact that Charlie Kirk was very pro-gun, and this is a situation that potentially could have been avoided by more control of guns. Now, obviously, it's tough to punish law-abiding citizens and people who aren't psychopaths for the actions of a psychopath like killed Charlie Kirk. But what do you think this could mean for the issue of gun control in America? There was also a school shooting yesterday as well, which was kind of overshadowed by this. Do you think this hurts the case for the Second Amendment?
I don't think it hurts the case for the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment, you're not going to get rid of the amendments. That would cause a bigger issue than the gun violence in America. But at the end of the day, guns don't kill people. People kill people. And if you took the Second Amendment away, the people who want to kill people are still going to kill them, whether it's stabbing, whether it's bombing, whether it's bow and arrow. And if they want guns, you can find illegal guns. In America, it's not hard to find guns. You can, if you throw a magnet into the Chicago River, you're gonna find one. You can find guns anywhere in America, and if they get rid of the Second Amendment, the people who should have guns aren't gonna have them, and the people who should going to. So if you keep the Second Amendment, you're gonna have people still protecting themselves, and you can protect yourself. You have a better chance of having the Second Amendment than not having it. So I don't think it's going to change anything with gun control of what happened today.
And see, this is great insight from you, man, and that's why I wanted to get you on the call, because I want to hear from the people who are directly in it, directly involved. Just a couple more questions before I let you go. What do you think this will do for the political climate in America? Because we had this. Again, we had another mass shooting at a school, and we also had the stabbing incident with the Ukrainian refugee. So things are at a point now where I think we haven't seen them in a very long time, and it kind of feels like a boiling point. I mean, just from your personal perspective, where do you feel like things are heading right now? Do you feel like there could be... I mean, I've heard some people saying civil war, and again, I don't hope for that, but, what are your thoughts?
I think it's going to spark some controversy, and I think it might spark more protests and riots, but I don't think civil war is in the question overall. Yeah, it's just crazy. But civil war, no. Protests and riots, probably.
Yeah. Does this change the way you feel about being an American right now?
It doesn't change the way I think about being American. I'm super proud to be an American, but unfortunately in America, we do have people that kill people. And it's just the way it is. And it's not going to change, unfortunately, but all we can do is keep spreading the truth and hopefully change people's minds. And, everybody's going to have their opinion, but hopefully we can change people's minds over the things that are the truth, and, just get the people who need help. Like, you can't just go out and shoot somebody and not have issues. Like, you have issues. So hopefully the people who have thoughts like that can get help.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the mental health aspect of it is huge. And I feel like with all of these incidents, it can be linked back to mental health, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm not going to get into, anything crazy, but just look at the people who shot people in the past.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of details that could be said there. Finally, right. T, and I appreciate it again. Do you feel like this is going to stop more people from actually going out and speaking? Obviously, Myron Gaines is another guy who does a lot of college appearances. He is in the process, I believe, or at least he's being urged to cancel all of his college appearances right now. Do you think that this could potentially work and silence people like Myron Gaines, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, or do you feel like they're going to persevere and keep spreading their message and people are going to keep showing up to keep an open discourse?
I think people are still. I think they're. I think they should continue doing what they're doing, but with a higher level of security, even if it's bulletproof glass around them, because people need to hear the word and of what they're saying. Because it's just good to go on college campuses, have a good community around you, but there also needs to be a higher level of security. So I don't think they should stop, but they should get some more security on field. Maybe even snipers on the roofs, like we see at NFL games.
Yeah, that's the thing because I mean these guys, like you said, Charlie Kirk was not a politician, but he was sort of treated like a politician and he was under the same threat as a politician. So that being said, maybe they need to move like that because I know Ben Shapiro, for example, he moves like the president. You're not going to get near Ben Shapiro even if you try. So maybe these other guys they need that level of security.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro, he like you said, he moves like the president. He has like 12 bodyguards. And one thing, the other speakers like Nick Fuentes, etc., Candace Owens, they need to for a higher level of security. They need to go into like big auditoriums like Ben Shapiro. I've never seen Ben Shapiro speak in public like Charlie Kirk did, but they need to start speaking indoors so you can get the security checks and everything needed so we don't see like another incident like today.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, a wide open field like that is leaves you vulnerable. And again, I'm still scratching my head, man, about how the hell this guy even got this shot off. Though that's still the thing that's so confusing to me because it was such an open area. How the hell can you set up a rifle like that? Like, I just can't wrap my mind around that part of the story.
Fast and smooth. You got to be real slick with it. I don't know how he even got slick with that, but I mean, it had to have been far away. He had to have been fast with it. Like with you can't just set up for an hour. You got to be fast with it. So that's the only thing I can think of is that he was super fast and was faster than security Charlie Kirk had.
I mean, do you think this could have some sort of government involvement? I mean, I think a lot of people are, they resort to starting conspiracy theories, but I mean, it almost seems like more of a conspiracy theory to say it was just some random guy. Like, I would be more willing to believe it was a trained military official or somebody who was government involved, who knows which government. That would almost be more likely to me. Like, I think it's a conspiracy theory to say it's an average Joe.
I don't think it's an average Joe. It's somebody who's trained to get off a shot like that, to hit in that specific spot. Like, you're hitting a quarter. You're hitting a quarter from 200 yards. And anybody who ever shot a rifle, if you can hit a quarter in 200 yards in 10 tries, you're doing something. You're good. You're skilled. So the fact that he shot that quarter on Charlie's neck means it's skilled. Somebody who did it was skilled, whether it's FBI, CIA, even military training, or even your average deer hunter, your average hunter is not going to hit that. It's somebody who is trained skillfully.
Wow, this is blowing my mind, man. And I know that there's a lot of debate as to who it could be. But T, I appreciate you calling in and shedding some light, man. Is there anything you want to plug or anything like that?
Nah. Hey. Everybody keep your hopes up and pray for the Charlie Kirk family.
That's right, brother. T, thank you so much, man. We'll be in touch. Hope you're doing well.
Thank Cash.
Thank you,
Hope
brother.
you're doing good too, Cash.
Thank you, my guy. T calling in from Virginia. Thank you for the super chat, Polar Bear. I really appreciate it. He says, UVU graduate, fact that campus police and Utah country sheriffs failed to secure the venue shows how little they cared. Justice and accountability now. And sorry if I've been neglecting the chat, guys. I see you guys all in the chat. I see you guys are incredibly active here, and I appreciate you guys for being here with me. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. But on top of all of that, like, I'm not even here to push myself right now. I think this is a really important discourse to be had. Hearing from T was really eye-opening, I think. And it's a scary time. This is a scary time. Look, I'm not even in America right now. and this is a scary time. Like these are dark hours. And I think it's really sad because it's a dark hour for freedom of speech. It's a dark hour for all of this. We have another caller calling in. Let's see if we can get him on the line. If you guys want to call, hit me on Instagram, CassiusMorris_. Let's see. I hope we didn't lose him. He called me a little while ago. Let's see if we can get him. I'll tell him to call back when he sees this. Oh, he just saw the call. Let me see. Appreciate everybody being here, man. Here. We got him. We got another caller on the line. Meta. What's happening, brother? How you doing?
Some tough news today, and like I'm definitely more of a Democrat. I definitely did not like seeing that. Whatever that shit. I don't know if we can swear on it.
Yeah, we can swear, man. We're here for freedom of speech.
Yeah, man. No, I'm one of my first thoughts, obviously, with condolences to his family, was just, well, I would have liked to have debated him. I've seen his debates. I really didn't know who he was until like a month ago. And I kind of enjoyed the fact that he was going to, universities, and, kids were having their hand at really kind of, testing their beliefs and what they feel, against a devil's advocate, if you will. And I think it was a good thing, for the country to be able to speak about things in a civil way, an intelligent way. And I'm just not sure, I mean, there's like a thin veil of control, in the chaos. But I am one that believes people are actually good, and that there's a lot of us, and things could go way worse all the time, every day, but they don't. But this is just another example of how they can go bad, or if there was something more to it. I don't know. But what are your thoughts, man?
Well, I think you're saying it in a really good way, and I think you summed it up perfectly. So and I find it interesting that you open with this. So you're a self-proclaimed Democrat, but you still appreciate the fact that Charlie Kirk was out here doing what he was doing.
Yeah, I'd rather him be out there openly debating people than just going behind the scenes like all the other politicians. Not that he was one, but probably in line for a political role later. But yeah, no, and I would have loved the chance to debate him, because I feel like I would have made great points. And perhaps, and I'm one of these people that always believes that people always have a chance to change in this life. Is like, we're super young in this life. And I think that's the part of life, is learning and bettering yourself. Even if he's the head of the spear of stuff that I think is like morally wrong, I'm still holding out hope that he would change his mind later.
Interesting. So, and that's funny, because that's really kind of what he was saying about who he was opposing. Like he found a lot of what the left did morally wrong, and he was very much opposed to it, but that never stopped him from wanting to have those conversations. And that's why I think that, you can say what you want about his opinions, but I do think it's important to have somebody like that out there, especially in such a divisive climate.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you can learn from each other. And usually if somebody has a strong belief for what they believe in, like, I kind of want to know why, unless it's just all bullshit, which it could be. But I, you know, Tom Morello said this. A lot of great people have said this. I just always side with the oppressed. If there's an oppressor, I'm gonna side with the oppressed. So it's pretty black. Like the environment. If you're cutting forests down, sure, you're doing something to produce more guitars that are going to sit on shelves. Like we have hundreds of thousands of guitars not even being played. So I don't think it's a shortage of guitars. I think it's more to make money. And if that's the only reason, then I'm going to side with the oppressed, And so I really just try to take the side of the oppressed. Oh, we're deporting people without due cause. Okay. Well, I'm going to side with the oppressed on that one. I never can side with the oppressor. So I really don't like to think about politics as left or right. Like you, I just try to make my decisions based on, it's really good to talk with you, by the way, Cass.
You too, dude. It's great. No, and I appreciate you calling in and sharing this perspective, because I think the division is so nightmarish, and it's such a terrible situation. So
For real, bro.
let me ask you this. What do you think this does for the left? Because even though it hasn't been confirmed that this person who killed him was on the left, it is being implied. And, people are already running with the narratives that the left are sort of bloodthirsty and they want to kill everybody who disagrees with them. I mean, as somebody who's leans to the left but is obviously sensible, what do you think that does for the cause, and how do you think that makes Democrats look right now?
Well, first of all, I mean, Republicans voting for, gun rights, and I'm sure a lot of Dems think the right wingers are the ones that are violent, so
right.
It definitely
everyone
goes both
thinks
ways.
each other is to blame, for sure.
Yeah, because they're ops, right?
Right.
That's the nature of it. But I just like playing sports and stuff, because I'm sure there's guys on my team and other teams that believe different things, but on the field it never comes up, and we just love and admire each other, and that's the whole point of sports and life and stuff. And then we kind of grow up in this system that corrupts us, and we pick sides, and it's all BS. But as far as the left and how this looks, it's not a good look. Don't know if the left is responsible or the right, or if it's just all, the whole, one bird of two wings, and it's really just this kind of dark, deep state elitist, media controlling the narrative of both sides to play on each other. And then, hey, we'll insert here. I mean, the thing is, I think we underestimate how heartless people are that do this stuff, perhaps behind the scenes, JFK assassination, all the rock stars that have passed away because they have death clauses in their contract. And so when they die, guess who gets that extra money?
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody.
So, I mean, there's a big time. There's a big incentive for the record company for that artist to die, because now Nirvana's $1 billion.
Exactly.
And
Michael Jackson, Kurt Cobain, the list goes on and on.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that is similar to this whole, let's stir the pot. Let's just see how they respond to this. And I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's kind of a failed capitalist system that we're going through. A forest goes through stages, right? It's like a young forest. That's why we have so many wildfires, by the way, because all our forests are young. But anyway, we have young forests, then we have old growth forest, then we have the forest finally kind of is so old that it falls down. The new forest regenerates. That's after thousands of years. But that's what we're kind of seeing with capitalism and stuff. It's super matured over its ethical purposes, and it's counterbalanced way to one side. And people are going to get upset. I mean, you can't say people aren't going to get upset when they hear, what if I was, oh, you're going to come take my family? Oh, you're not on, you ain't going to do that. And I've had paperwork, that I've been working on for 10 years to make me a citizen, because I'm from Mexico. If I was from Sweden, they would have, got that shit right away. But and then now you're going to kick me off to some, and then going back to Mexico, there's no hope there, which is a shame. It's like a tropical paradise. You would think these countries would work better with each other, but no, we have these borders. And instead of treating each other like the NBA or like a sports fraternity, where, yeah, we're on different teams, but we all are doing this thing together, these borders haven't worked as well as the fraternity of a league and these teams. If we all wanted the best for each other, the way we want the best for our common man in our country, you would think we'd have a lot more respect for each other here. But if we just wanted that for everybody in the world, I think the world would be a better place.
See, this is why I love this platform, folks. We went from the young right to the young left, and we're hearing everybody out and we're getting everybody's perspective. I wanted to ask you this, Meta, when you first heard that Charlie Kirk was shot, were you surprised, or were you like, okay, I could have seen this coming? Because I was surprised that somebody actually did it and that it was so gruesome. But from where I'm sitting, like I said earlier in the stream, to me, it's no surprise that somebody actually took a shot at one of these people, because I've seen it coming for quite a long time. Is this something that you saw coming as well, given the climate?
I mean, I could see how you could see it coming, but no, I was surprised. Yeah, I was and sad, I mean, I'm sad when anybody dies, really. I mean, once again, I'm one of these people that just wants to bring everybody along somehow, or pull the car over. We're not leaving until everybody, gets along. But yeah, there's 350 million people out there. You don't have really any gun control at all. I mean, somebody doesn't like you, past the point of talking, whatever. We get murders every day. We get school shootings. I don't know. Is it once a month? I don't know what it is. But yeah, I was thinking about it today, Cass. Like, you got 350 million people who, could go off at any moment. And then every day, that's 350 million chances of something going wrong. And then, okay, it didn't happen. Okay, another day, another 350 million chances. Okay, 3 months. Okay, 350 million times 30 days of chances of something going wrong. So, I mean, like I said, I think I do believe in the general goodness in people. Otherwise, this could be way crazier. It's not like there's police walking around with their, making sure, hey, you're not like murdering something. You know what I mean? And then on the field, you got these guys and these girls, competing, and it's just cute. You know what I mean? To me, it's just like, it's cute, and they keep it together, and yeah, maybe we'll have a scruff, but it never, rarely, of course, with the 350 million variables, how many, I mean, I think the numbers are still pretty good, that people tend to have an empathetic outlook towards their brother or sister. But with so many chances and no regulations, this is what can happen. And especially if you got a capitalist system at the top that wants to make sure the status quo is what's going on, and we can stir the pot. I mean, we can do this easy. You know what I mean? We can, drug addict. Oh, we can throw a drug addiction narrative together real quick, or assassination attempt. Yeah, we got those. We got military. Yeah, we can put that together. So it doesn't surprise me.
Now, how about for the future of the country? I mean, like I was talking about with the last call, I mean, so many incidents happening this week, but I think like incidents that can be catalysts for major change. It seems like people are really getting fueled up to do something. I think people are looking at Trump right now like, you need to do something, and I think his base especially is getting incredibly empowered and emboldened with what they plan on doing. Where do you think this goes from here as an American, from where we stand today? What do you think the fallout is from not only the stabbing, that happened with the Ukrainian immigrant, but also this thing with Charlie Kirk and the continued violence that happens every day?
Well, that's obviously a good question. I mean, Trump is in his own hot water with these Epstein files. I mean, unless this is all a Democratic hoax, like, this is looking bad for even an elitist, even the president. So he's got to balance that, with now this. And of course, everybody's looking to him for leadership. He's an older guy now, unless he's like the Antichrist. Like, he's an older guy. He might not have the same energy for this kind of event to be taking place under his presidency.
But this might also be a good out for him as well, to distract from some of those things that are actually happening with him. Like this might be a good chance for him to step up as the hero, maybe to people who even are against him right now.
Yeah, if he's that kind of guy. I don't know if he is, though. So,
right.
Yeah.
But even if it's performative, though, maybe it's a good chance to, because again,
that AI video?
Right, in the beginning, yeah. Yeah, that was...
I mean, they could AI something together for him. But, yeah, I don't know, bro. It seems like, as far as, like, the right, before this, it's like they are it seems to me that they're patching the boat together. Shit, we got this hole now. Okay. Patch that together. Oh, yeah, he's the FBI informant, and they didn't even have a friend. You know what I mean? Okay. Patch that shit together. Yeah. Lead them down that's not going to, and without any real repercussions. But as far as trying to galvanize, and it would be ideal for Trump to, like, galvanize both sides and be like, hey, this isn't right. Especially when one of the right wingers got hit here. But it's almost like the problem is you're talking about people's fundamental beliefs and things, like, should we be deporting people and breaking up families just because they may not have been legal the whole time, even though they were trying to go through the steps, because it takes a decade, and they were working a job and providing tax dollars and employing Americans and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, you start treating them like animals, you know what I mean? Like, dehumanizing them. You can go a long way. We've seen it not even 100 years ago. We've seen it. So, all that to say, I just don't think we have the right leadership. I'm sure there's a lot of Trump supporters out there. I don't think we have the right president to make that kind of leap.
So you don't see radical change coming from this, even though maybe we're set up for radical change right now, at least in your opinion?
No, I see it as radical change, like, in the negative. I think it's one of those things where it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it probably will hit rock bottom. We'll all have to deal with it. I'll be fine. I'll be writing songs, going to the studio every day, going and playing baseball and softball every day. I won't let this affect my life at all. But, I think it's just going to get worse before it gets better. I don't know if the right wingers are going to riot and protest. It's usually not their forte. But I think Trump, it's probably going to be like he's the head of the snake, and a lot of it is the body. This is a Democrat talking, right? But, like, I feel like something's going to happen to him, and then I don't know, man. It's hard with the division of kind of core beliefs. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, no, 100%. The country is so incredibly divided right now, and it can be scary times, but I appreciate the fact that you said you're going to stick to yourself, and you're going to do your music, and you're going to do your sports. And I would like to extend that to everybody watching right now. Don't let this get too much to you. If you are a workout guy, go work out. Just do whatever the hell makes you happy, and try to focus on your neighborhood, try to focus on your community. Maybe that's the answer to a lot of this division and a lot of this polarization, is just to focus and pour into what we love instead of what we hate. I think that sounds like a really good solution. But Meta, thank you for calling in, man. I really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to plug before we let you go?
Metaphoria is always doing its thing. We're going to have music eventually, but just it'll get there. But no, just what you said is brilliant, Cass. Just, like, pour love into the world instead of hate. and then, you know, get it out, get all that hate or passion, you know, smash a home run or figure out a hobby or pursue your passion in this world and make that your life instead of, you know, watching what other people say, except for you, Cass. You're fucking awesome.
Hey, man, the feeling is mutual, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great to talk with you, and we'll talk again very soon, my friend.
Hell yeah, bro. You already know, man.
Awesome,
Have a great
brother.
night.
Take care. Thank you so much to Meta for calling in. Thank you to Lazy Prodigy so much for the super chat. He says, the left martyred a Christian, patriot, and father. I will never look at any person on the left the same. All are now evil in my book. Justice for Charlie Kirk. F. Democrats. Lazy, I appreciate your perspective. And guys, just so you know, I welcome all perspectives here. We literally just had a proud, gun-owning Republican American call in. And then right after that, we had a left-wing American who's a great American also call in. Two great Americans, folks. And I really appreciate the fact that I can showcase two stand-up people, two patriotic Americans, one on the right and one on the left in these sick and divided times. Because what's happening right now is so sick and so twisted. The country is so diseased that we have to keep this going. And if we can learn one thing from the death of Charlie Kirk, whether you liked him or not, it doesn't matter if you agree with his stance on Israel. It doesn't matter if you agree with his stance on trans. It doesn't matter if you agree with his stance on immigration. One thing I think we can all agree on is that Charlie Kirk was a major force in pushing the discourse forward. And anybody who tries to make a case to me, I challenge anybody to make the case that we don't need more discourse. I don't think that you can make an argument for less conversation in a sick and diseased time like we are in now. I mean, when somebody said poor kids died in a shooting today. Exactly. I mean, when we're in a time where a school shooting is being overshadowed by political back and forth, that's when you know we're really in trouble. We're going to pull a couple more things up on X. Guys, if you're appreciating this content, and thank you, I appreciate you, please hit that subscribe. I'm on the road to 100,000 followers. I'm still an up-and-coming creator. I see some DMs on Instagram, people who want me to call them. I'll give you a call. I'm going to jump back into some callers soon. We're going to take a look at a couple of clips here, and I am hiding my screen because the video of Charlie Kirk's assassination is still circling across social media. It is incredibly graphic, and I don't want to show that on my channel. But we're going to pull up a couple more clips. For context, there's still a lot going on in this story. And one of the main things that is coming up is the media bias in the way that the media is reporting this. So we have a couple clips here from MSNBC. And I got to tell you guys, I don't think it really matters what side of the aisle you're on. Some of these statements from the media are absolutely ridiculous. This statement here from MSNBC claiming that Charlie Kirk may have been shot because one of his supporters was shooting off their gun in celebration. In celebration of what? I don't know. In the audience. Let's take a listen.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
I mean, you can't make this shit up. A supporter shooting his gun off in celebration. Absolutely ridiculous. Here's a clip from Fox News of Fox News anchor Matthew Dowd saying Charlie Kirk probably deserved to be assassinated. A father of 2 children deserved to be assassinated. I mean, I don't think we hate the media enough, folks. I think however much you hate mainstream media, I genuinely don't think we hate them enough. And I agree with the chat. That last statement was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. A supporter shooting their gun off in celebration. Because young conservatives who attend meetings and do work for the community, they walk around shooting off guns. Like, that's a Looney Tunes type scenario. Like, that's a cartoonish caricature. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's listen to this part from Fox News. I'm surprised it was on Fox News that they said this.
Well, Dowd should be fired immediately. I expect him to be terminated within 24 hours. You can't say Charlie deserved to die. Just can't say that. And I hope he loses his job. It's dangerous, Greg. That's the message. It's dangerous to open your mouth, so shut it. That's the message they're sending. And they usually send messages to the politicians, whether it's Trump, JFK, Reagan, whatever. Or John Lennon, take a shot at the biggest star in the world. And I'm not saying they took a shot at Charlie because I'm lowering his status. They took a shot at Charlie to tell you it's dangerous to speak your mind.
Yes,
I agree.
And that's the message. And you can either take that message and then go crawl into a corner and shut up, or you could do what Charlie would want to do and speak louder and speak even more clear to more people as much as you possibly can. And never be afraid to say what's in your heart and get everybody else saying what you believe, because that's what this country is founded on, freedom. And if they can take that away from us, we don't have a country.
But what was he saying?
We don't know, and that could have been trans, it could have been MAGA, you don't know, and we can't speculate, but we will find out when they catch this goon.
Guys, we have more callers coming up shortly. I appreciate everybody who's been along for this up until this point. I'm trying to be mindful of showing my screen capture because I don't want to accidentally show the video. I honestly think that video needs to be removed from social media. It's absolutely despicable. Elon, please do something about this video. Again, I'm all for freedom of information. I'm all for freedom of speech. But we can't have this video circulating online, man. It's not right. It's not right. There's been videos that are so much less graphic than this that have been censored from the internet. Elon, please get this video off the internet. Please. Here's another one from MSNBC, who is obviously an insane network, which I think if they keep pushing this shit, Trump is probably going to get them off the air completely. Saying, demonizing Charlie Kirk just minutes after he was shot.
Yeah, we're showing, by the way, our affiliate in Utah and the aftermath of this shooting. You could see people running away pretty quickly, as you would imagine they would do at gunshots. The FBI director, Kash Patel, has weighed in on this. He just tweeted the following: "We're closely monitoring reports of the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and the investigation." Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. Why?
Well, he's one of MAGA's most prominent voices online. He hosts a near daily podcast. He opines on almost everything. He's been very closely aligned with the president since his initial run for office in 2015, 2016. And his ties to Trump really elevated his own brand. He was really quite young as an activist when the president launched his initial campaign. And he has kind of ridden along with MAGA since 2016 and built up a massive, massive brand of his own. His group has brought in tons and tons of money.
I love how that's their concern, is that he was MAGA. Is that really where we've gotten to, folks? Have we really gotten to the point where I'm a Republican and I hate Democrats, so they need to die? Or I'm a Democrat and a dude in a red hat needs to be shot in the head? Are we that sick as a society now? It's a sickness. This is a sickness, folks. You don't have this in other countries. You don't have this shit in other countries. And I think that that's really important to note. Like, I'm doing this broadcast from Asia right now because I fled North America. I fled because I cannot deal with this sickness. I don't feel safe. That's why I'm doing this broadcast from a remote place in Asia. It's a sickness. And I don't think we can keep living like this. Let's get another call. See if they pick up. I don't think this one's even ringing. To everybody in my message requests on Instagram, I see you. If you send me a message, I'll call you back if you want to join the discourse. Cassius Morris, just write it in. You can see it. You can see it on my channel name. That's the spelling if you want to join the conversation. Shout out to the chat, man. Shout out the chat. I love you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy comments too, but that's okay. My goal is to give everybody a voice. That's truly my goal. Jay, thank you so much for the super chat. Jay says violence should never be the answer to words or ideas. Rest in peace, Charlie. Jay, I completely agree. I think it's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. And I'm done. You know, I don't care if I lose followers. I don't give a shit, dude. If you think this is acceptable, fuck you. That's really where I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Obama. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care who it is. You shoot somebody in the head, you're a piece of shit. And if you applaud it, you're a piece of shit. Okay? Let's get real. Let's get a caller on. You guys got to pick up, though, if you ask me to call. You got to pick up. Tell me to call. Oh, hold up. What'd he say? Says he's about to hop in the shower. Let me try this guy one more time, this other guy. I'm reading the chat as much as I can, guys. Okay, call me back. Call me back, guys. I think some people get nervous once I actually go to put them on the air. For anybody who's just joining, conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and assassinated yesterday at a Utah rally. He was 31 years old, Details are still emerging about who actually perpetrated this crime, and let's go ahead and take a look about the suspect. That's the one thing I'm trying to figure out here. Again, oh, here we got a caller. Hang on.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello, you're on the air.
Can you hear me, sir? Sorry.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Are you going to be asking me the questions, or been a stressful day?
Sure. Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. You said that you're a young conservative.
I'm 15 years old, and I'm born in Indiana, and I'm raised in Illinois.
Okay, so you're a proud American, and you were a Charlie Kirk fan?
Yes, he was my favorite political commentator, and a bit more about myself. I care more about this country than I do my own life. My room looks like an American history classroom. I'm very devout to my country, and what I see right now is sickening. So.
Okay, so definitely very, very proud and very patriotic. So let me ask you this then, before I get your reaction on the death. As a young American who's super proud, what do you think Charlie Kirk meant to America? What was the significance of Charlie Kirk and his role in the country, especially right now?
Well, I felt that he was an opening voice for young conservatives who are pushed back from public society, who are pressured, especially in more democratic states. I can attest to this myself. Even though I'm in a relatively rural part of Illinois, it's a very liberal state. And he encouraged me to speak out despite my stutter. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at a young age. So he encouraged me to speak about my own opinions on the world because it's something that interests me in life.
Okay. Well, I mean, you sound fine to me, so I think you're doing good at this point. So what was your first reaction to Charlie being shot? Did you think he would make it? Did you think that maybe there was hope that he would pull through? What was your initial reaction?
When I first heard about it, I was in my 8th hour history class, and right when I got home, I looked up the video, and then I realized there's no way, no one is surviving that shot.
Yeah.
And then my first thought was outrage. Political violence should not be a thing in this country.
Now, did you think that someone like Charlie Kirk could potentially have been a victim of violence or assassination, or did you not see this coming for someone like Charlie?
I thought Ben Shapiro had the best statement on this. No one suspects it because, even though he has mass amounts of guards, no one thinks that someone in this country that is so gray is just going to be up and shot in the head for having a difference of opinion, because that's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, so maybe there was a chance that it could happen, but you didn't really feel like it was gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a chance of something like that, especially with how politically divided our country is.
Now,
it was a shock.
Yes, it was a shock for sure. So what do you think this means for the future of America? A lot of people are saying that young conservatives are going to rise up and there's going to be some sort of uprising. Do you see that happening now?
I could see mass protests. I don't see anything like a civil war like some people are suggesting. I mean, this is completely unacceptable. He was only 31 years old, had a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful children, and he deserves to serve this country longer, because no matter what your opinions are about him or his own beliefs, you have to respect a man who will stand up for his beliefs and will say it among a crowd and will go into the fire to go against others' beliefs. And he will try to change your opinion, but if he disagreed with you, he wouldn't shoot you through the fucking neck.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. He definitely spoke against violence many times, and that was well recorded. Now, what do you make of the people celebrating his death? Obviously, lots of people are upset about it, but there's many people, particularly on the left, who are happy about this. What do you make of that?
That's absolutely fucking sickening. You're dehumanizing him to where he is a piece of trash. He's filth. he was a human being. Just because you have a difference of opinion does not mean you deserve to get shot through the damn neck. So let's look at this here. If I'm just going to say this, if we're using any definition of fascist, I think, and if we're using fascist as a term of political suppression, I think shooting a major superstar through the neck is quite a show of fascism. But I'm not trying to accuse anyone here, but anyone who's celebrating is a sickened human being who really needs to rework their life decisions.
Now, do you think this is actually going to backfire on the left, the celebration and championing this? Do you think this is just going to make them look worse? Because the left seems to be becoming, increasingly unpopular in America and across the world for things exactly like this.
I definitely see it backfiring. There's no other way it could go. I feel like this is going to push younger people more towards the right, especially people who, have morals, have values, and whatever. I find it very ironic that he was speaking out against shootings before this, and then I hear people say this as, "Oh, well, he deserved it because he spoke for gun rights." Which, if I'm just going to briefly explain my opinion on that. You have the right to own a gun in America. I believe that we shouldn't have as many gun regulations, but we should. But I believe the way to fix a lot of gun violence is to make sure people have mental evaluations every year, especially if you own higher caliber guns, such as assault rifles or things of the sort.
I think that's really smart. So let good, sane
Don't
people.
let psychos have a gun.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean that sounds like common sense, but sadly, a lot of people don't agree.
Yeah.
Now, what about other people who are in this world, like Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens? Do you think that they could be at risk as well? And do you think that this is going to silence people, or are they actually going to turn around and speak up even louder now, and sort of in the name of what happened?
I can guarantee you the right wing and center right wing, and maybe even a lot of people on the center are going to speak out. But I believe this is the death of public speaking events.
So you don't think we're going to see these guys showing up at campuses and showing up sort of in public anymore?
No, and if they do, it's going to be behind bulletproof glass.
Well, that probably wouldn't have been a bad idea in the first place, though. I mean, now that we're thinking of it.
You don't expect to get shot in the head, though. So.
Yeah, no, that's true, and you also shouldn't have to be behind bulletproof glass if you're being nonviolent.
You're just showing your own opinion on the world. There's nothing wrong with that. Discourse is one of the most important things for a free society.
No, I completely agree. Now, let me ask you one more question, and I appreciate you sharing this, man. How do you think Charlie Kirk should be remembered in terms of an American figure, and how do you think his legacy will go down in light of what happened?
I believe that completely depends on what side of the country you're on because of how politically divided we are. On the right, I believe he's going to go down as a man who stuck up for his beliefs no matter what until the end. And on the left, I think he's going to go down as a man who became a martyr for the right.
Yeah, no, I think it's hard to argue with that. Well, man, listen, for 15, you're incredibly well-spoken. I appreciate you taking the time to call in, and thank you for watching, man.
You're welcome. You have great content, sir. Keep up the work.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Take care. Wow. Incredible perspective here from another young American. It sort of gives me chills in a way. I mean, we're really hearing from people. People are affected by this, man. Like, this isn't a joke. And I know a lot of people are trying to make it about Charlie Kirk. A lot of people are trying to make it about this specific thing. To me, it's not about... This goes beyond Kirk at this point. This is about freedom of speech. This is also a symptom of how sick the country has become. There's a lot more at play here. So I think it's almost kind of naive to act as if this is just about Kirk. I'm going to put my Instagram in the chat really quick. If a couple more people want to call in, I'll say DM to call on Instagram. Cassius Morris. And we'll take a couple more calls. But man, it's the young people, dude. It's the young guys who really, really, really want to see this turn around. It's the young guys who are really affected by this. So we'll take a look at a couple of clips. They're still trying to figure out who exactly did this right now.
Their eyewitness described, they do say they did hear just one shot heard as he was speaking to a crowd, hundreds, thousands there on hand for this. Of course, AP continuing to report he's in critical condition after being shot there in Utah. Of course, videos posted on social media circulating, very disturbing, from Utah Valley University show Kirk speaking into a handheld microphone while sitting under a white tent with the slogans, "The American Comeback" and "Prove Me Wrong." A single shot rings out. Kirk can be reaching up with his right hand as blood potentially gushes from the side of his neck. Very disturbing, very dynamic scene. We're hearing from different people there on hand for this. Hundreds, thousands of people. We're going to hear from Speaker Mike Johnson here in just a short bit of time. But again, we've heard Charlie Kirk there so many times in different conservative circles. And this from the president saying we must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. So plenty of reaction right now as we're also potentially hearing on the ground on Capitol Hill, Chip Roy, the Republican, speaking out. Let's listen in.
Strong guy, he's a good man. I hope, praying for him. I don't know the status. I have no idea. I keep getting conflicting reports, so pray.
All right, you just heard there, Chip Roy, conflicting reports right now about the condition in which Charlie Kirk is in right now, but the AP reporting critical condition. So we're going to continue to follow that here on Live Now from Fox. So this is just a scene there from the ground in Orem, Utah, on the campus of Utah Valley University. And I believe we're going to be joined right now by a reporter that was a witness to what transpired today. Eva Terry from Deseret News.
Hang on. People are saying that they have somebody in custody now? Okay. The story's moving fast, guys, so it can be hard to keep up. Let's take a look here.
All right, we've just been listening to Utah officials, including Governor Spencer Cox, talk about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. A bit of confusion there for many of us covering this and the press as well that was gathered because the head of the FBI director, Kash Patel, put out a post on X just before this news conference saying that the subject of the shooting, I'm going to read it here, the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Now, it was unclear from the news conference who exactly was in custody, but later the governor saying there was a person of interest in custody, and later a police officer saying that they're trying to sort of connect the dots right now. I do want to bring in our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter. Tom, look, things are very fluid. This just happened a few hours ago. It was an assassination from long range. It was planned out from what we've heard. There was a suspect in dark clothing, they believe, seen on closed-circuit TV at Utah Valley University. The question now is, it seemed like the FBI director went a little further than officials in Utah were comfortable with. Do you think this is an issue of semantics, or they have the man they were looking for?
Yeah, it's an issue of semantics, Tom. And according to our colleague Mike Cosner, who is talking to the top of the FBI tonight, there is growing confidence that the individual identified by officials in Utah as a person of interest that they now have in custody is, in fact, the person they believe could be the shooter in this. So to just break down the semantics briefly, sometimes they don't want to call somebody a suspect for certain legal reasons in their ability to question and their ability to talk to that person. So that could be at play here. In addition to that, they want to make sure that they can match up the evidence that they've recovered and seen so far to this person before officially calling them a suspect. Right. But right now they have a real good feeling that the person they think is responsible for this assassination, they do have, in fact, in custody.
The governor's saying they're going to look for anybody that may be connected to the shooting, but they don't believe that there was a second person involved in the shooting, that the shooter likely was on the roof of the building about 200 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was speaking, long-range rifle, able to hit Charlie Kirk somewhere in the neck or the chest, killing him in front of a crowd of thousands that had gathered at this university there in Utah. I guess my next question to you is, they were talking about the security there. The police officer that was in charge, I think it was the chief of police there, saying they had numerous officers. Clearly, in hindsight, not enough, but also the person who had planned this out maybe had thought a little more than others had there, and was intent on killing Charlie Kirk even from very far away.
I mean, there becomes a point for these university officials, for people at these high-profile institutions. I mean, do we just go to Secret Service protection for every single major event?
Right.
Because that's the type of thing that you're seeing. And by the way, we still had 2 attempted assassinations on then candidate Donald Trump, now President Donald Trump, and he did have Secret Service protection, as we well know. If this individual was some measurements 500 feet, some 200 yards away with a semi-automatic rifle, that is not a particularly difficult shot for somebody that would have planned for this, would have had access to the weapon to be able to conduct what they were able to conduct today.
We should clear up something, too, that officials cleared up as well. There was a lot of video and initial report that the suspect was in custody early on, and there was social media video of an elderly man who had been handcuffed. Police now saying that person has been arrested. They are not connected to the shooting, at least not right now, but they were arrested for obstruction of justice.
Yes, that's George Zinn. This is an individual, according to publicly available documents and records, and what officials said at the press conference is somebody who they have had interactions with before, a well-known local protester. But again, we want to be clear, there's no indication this individual had anything to do with what is now being described by officials there as a political assassination. What that person's role is, whether or not they'll ultimately go through the trial process, we'll see. Presumably, they'll profess their innocence as well.
I want to...
Super suspicious, man. There's something super suspicious about this whole thing. I know you guys probably saw the video of the old guy that got arrested. Why would they arrest a guy falsely for this shooting? Like, what would lead them to arrest an old man who was at the Charlie Kirk rally, who didn't have a gun anywhere near him, who didn't have ammunition? Why would they arrest the wrong guy? And why was the right guy not caught? Doesn't this kind of feel like a setup? You guys tell me. Maybe I'm crazy. Tell me in the chat. There's something fishy about this. Like, it's like a bait and switch. I see this video. Shouting erupts on house floor during moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. What? These motherfuckers in the house are crazy.
Committee of the Whole. The chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Colorado rise?
Shh. Absolutely classic.
There's someone who may lead us in a moment of prayer out loud for Charlie and his family.
Let's wait a minute. Wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. Shh. The House will be in order. Shh. The House will be in order. We will join prayer right after this, okay? The chair lays before the House a communication. The House will be in order.
these people are sick. These are sick individuals, and you know, it's like Trump would say, sick people, very sick people. But dude, seriously, like, all joking aside, these are the same people who wouldn't clap for a kid who recovered from brain cancer in the house. So, you know, again, I don't think all Democrats are bad or evil people, but these people are sick. You'd have to be a pretty demented individual to shout during the moment of silence. Forget the political stuff. This guy was a father. This guy was a husband. Not to mention, this dude was 31 years old when he was shot and killed in cold blood in broad daylight. You can't have a moment of silence for the guy? A guy who's never shot anyone, never killed anyone. You can't have a moment of silence. Absolutely reprehensible behavior from the Democrats in the House. Sickening. Sickening behavior. Let's take a quick call, and we'll jump into some more clips. Let's see if my boy answers. Hello. Going good, man. How about yourself?
Well, I mean, after the news, you know, little, like, just crazy, but it's good.
You sound like a younger man. How old are you, bro?
I'm 16.
16. So, see, there's a lot of... I feel like Charlie Kirk's fans are very young, guys. There's a lot of young fans who are calling in. So, let me ask you this. So, what did Charlie Kirk mean to you, and what was your first reaction to the news here?
So, honestly, I looked up to him, honestly. He honestly created my, like, gave me the information I got, pretty much. Like, almost any of my information for politics and anything like that, I got from him in his debates.
Okay.
It's just, like, I think he is looked up to by a lot of young people, like you were saying, a lot of young callers, because that's what that's his goal, was to create a new work towards Gen Z and the new generation.
So, do you feel like he was creating a whole new generation of conservatives? Because that's what it sounds like.
I don't think he was going for a new generation of conservatives. I think he was going for a new generation of educated people.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So, what do you think his death is going to mean for America? What do you think it means for the next generation of educated people, like you said?
I mean, really only time will tell, but I think he will end up, like, this death, I think will bring, because we're very separated right now, I think it will bring the left and right together. And then I heard you earlier in the live saying how, like, there's sick people and, like, the prayer that they were, like, yelling at, and, like, that's just crazy to me. And it's gonna bring the left and right people together, and then it will show how crazy a lot of people are.
Now, I find it interesting that so many young people in America are becoming political. Do you think that most people who are young right now are very political in the States? Like, is this something that's common?
So I'm from Nebraska, and I've been to 3 different high schools in Nebraska, and almost all of them, I've had like left and right, like, friends that are very political, and I would say yes, they are very. I think it's been so publicized with social media that's what everyone.
Oh, I think we're losing you here.
Let me check some.
Sorry, brother, you got a bad connection. Can you still hear me? Okay, we lost that one. That's okay. Well, thank you for calling. Listen, I can't believe there's so many young people calling, dude. I'm shocked. That's insane. And I would, I mean, look, I respect dude for calling. I would rather keep it to over 18, you know what I mean? Just so we can hear their perspectives. But thank you for calling, brother. I appreciate it. Pretty shocking to see that Charlie Kirk was touching the young generation, the next generation. And it's crazy to think of how many people were really moved by his message. Unbelievable. Let's try to take another look at, I want to find something about the suspect here. I want to find something about the suspect. So they're saying that the person of interest was released now.
There is some conflicting information on a possible person of interest. The FBI director now says, quote, the subject that was in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. We are waiting for more information and clarification on that. ABC's Rena Roy has a response from Utah's governor.
Conservative activist Charlie Kirk dead at 31 years old after authorities say he was shot while speaking at Utah Valley University this afternoon.
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
Video shows the moments before Kirk was shot. We're pausing it before the gunfire.
Just one shot straight into Charlie Kirk.
And I watched a fountain of blood come out of the side of his neck like a water fountain.
Panic and chaos in the crowd as people ran for cover.
Anyone could just walk in. It was at probably the worst place in campus because there's so many areas where anyone can just walk in.
Witnesses say Kirk was talking about gun violence when he was shot.
Everyone got down. Everyone was so scared.
Kirk is a massive voice in the conservative movement as the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA, an influential conservative youth organization. He's often sparked heated debates on college campuses across the country. His rhetoric has often been closely aligned with President Trump.
I had a brief conversation with the president over the phone. He sounded quite upset, quite down about this. He told me it's horrific. It's one of the most horrific things I've ever seen.
Both the ATF and FBI are responding. The FBI saying they're closely monitoring the situation and that agents are on the ground there. Politicians on both sides of the aisle denouncing politically motivated violence.
This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are.
Multiple senior sources inside the West Wing saying they are in shock and disbelief. Sources also tell ABC News the president has postponed a dinner he had planned for this evening. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Gunman still at large. This is 55 minutes ago.
The other big story of the day, a gunman shooting and killing conservative political activist Charlie Kirk as he was speaking in front of a crowd of thousands at a Utah university. Here's what we are learning in just the past few hours. The urgent manhunt continues for Kirk's killer. A person of interest was released from custody after an interrogation. The FBI has set up a digital tip line for information about the shooting, and the governor of Utah said only one person is believed to be involved. And in the last hour, a prayer vigil was held in Kirk's honor at Utah Valley University, where only a few hours ago he was shot dead. The 31-year-old leaving behind a wife and 2 young children. As Olivia Rubin reports, this is now being called a political assassination.
Tonight, shock and outrage after Charlie Kirk, one of the most prominent conservative activists in the country with close ties to President Trump, shot and killed while on stage at a college event.
This is a political assassination.
Kirk was speaking at Utah Valley University on his so-called The American Comeback Tour, answering a question on gun violence when a single shot rang out.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Thousands watching on as Kirk was hit in the neck. Eyewitnesses recounting the unspeakable scene.
I was 15 feet away, and it was really hard to witness. As the guy said, shooting or shooters or something like that, you just hear the gunshot, and I'm sorry, you just see his neck just like open up, and there's just like so much blood that just came out. It was horrible.
A security team rushing Kirk to the hospital. We've blurred the video that shows his arm dangling as he's carried to a car. In Washington, bipartisan shock and sadness, tributes pouring in. President Trump, who had a personal relationship with Kirk, ordering flags around the country flown at half-staff.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror.
Kirk was...
Bro, that's AI, is it not, guys? Again, I hate to bring this up in a serious moment, but is this not AI, this video of Trump? Just for the record.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror.
Kirk was 31 years old. He's survived by his wife, Erica, and 2 young children. For years, Kirk mobilized conservatives around the country, most recently for the MAGA movement, often credited with helping send Trump back to the White House in 2024. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, New York.
Charlie Kirk lived in Arizona but had strong ties to Florida. His parents owned a home in Longboat Key, which is near Sarasota. And earlier this year, Kirk did a college tour across the Sunshine State, visiting USF, UF, and FSU. Many local lawmakers have shared prayers and condolences, including Republican Anthony Sabatini, a Lake County commissioner. In this post on social media, he said he has added an item to next week's agenda to have a major road in Lake County named after Kirk. Less than an hour after Charlie Kirk was shot, there was another shooting at a Colorado high school in Evergreen, which is a suburb of Denver. 3 students, including the suspect, are now in the hospital. This marks the 47th shooting at a school in the United States so far this year.
Wow. Now, the other thing that we're hearing is that they're looking for the death penalty for Charlie Kirk. Let's listen to the Utah governor and what he had to say. He's not messing around here. And what do you guys think in the chat about the whole concept of the death penalty coming back? Apparently, Trump is seeking the death penalty for the guy who murdered Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee. Trump has said that the only solution for this person is the death penalty. And now it looks like they're going to be pursuing the death penalty for Charlie Kirk's killer. Not only that, they're looking at bringing back capital punishment in Washington, D.C., period. So what do you guys think? Let me run a poll. Let me see if I can do a poll. Can I? I'll put a poll in the chat, and then I'll take a look at the results. Should Charlie Kirk's murderer receive... it won't let me do the poll. But you guys let me know. Let me know in the chat. Here's Utah's governor speaking on the incident.
Form of violence at UVU and seek to make our campus...
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this dark and tragic occasion. I want to thank our law enforcement officers who are leading this investigation, starting with Chief Long and his response here with the UVU Police Department. We're grateful for your leadership and your team. And again, to the speakers that you've just heard from who are co-leading this investigation. I also want to recognize Sheriff Mike Smith, who has been an invaluable partner as this investigation moves forward. I've been in touch with President Trump, with FBI Director Kash Patel. We are completely aligned with our state and federal partners as we work through this case. Now, this is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And today, a life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to two young children. He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated. And that's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates. That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody. The investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now, to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Wow. Oh, he's not messing around. Utah governor is not messing around because, look, as a governor, how are you going to allow something like this to happen in your state? How are you going to allow somebody to come onto a university campus with a long-range firearm and assassinate a speaker? You can't let this fly. No serious governor is going to let this happen, okay? Because this compromises the safety of the entire state. That is really what we have to look at. This goes far beyond just Charlie Kirk. This compromises the safety of students. This compromises the safety of the staff. You cannot allow this if you're a serious governor, especially in Trump's America. This is not the America that's going to be compassionate on criminals. We're in the tough on crime America. And if you want to be taken seriously in Trump's America, you need to be tough on crime as a not a world leader, as a government official, rather.
And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah. Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting. I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans.
Very strong statement there from the Utah governor. We're going to keep looking at some different clips, guys. If you guys are appreciating the coverage, we're going on over 2 hours now. Please consider becoming a member of the channel. For the price of a cup of Starbucks every single month, you can get access to exclusive content on my channel and the backlog of over 100 members-only videos. Let's take a look at a couple eyewitnesses giving their testimonies.
Christian Overton joins me now. He was a witness to the shooting. Christian, I'm very, very sorry. You saw what you saw. You experienced what you experienced. I am appreciative that you're willing to discuss it. Can you tell me what happened?
Certainly, yes. I attended the event with my 17-year-old son, Ryder Overton, this afternoon. We got there about an hour early and had found some what we thought were good seats. It wasn't until shortly after that we moved down to the fence and were allowed to sit just off from the stage where he presented. Everything went as planned. He actually even came out and...
Man, that's insane they were that close. Because that's the thing. I was thinking this too. They could have been shot. Somebody could have been shot in the crowd that wasn't even supposed to be shot. Just like when they tried to get Trump. I mean, they killed a veteran trying to kill Trump. That's why, again, you have to take this seriously even if you don't support Charlie Kirk. This is no joke, guys. Obviously, this is no joke.
Until shortly after that we moved down to the fence and were allowed to sit just off from the stage where he presented. Everything went as planned. He actually even came out and handed my son, a couple of hats. So it was a wonderful, wonderful gesture, and we were excited. And after about the second question that was asked is about the time we heard the shot. I diverted to look up just for a second to see where the sound had come from, and then seconds later witnessed Charlie with a hole in his neck and bleeding. It was at that time we laid down on the ground, not knowing what or how many shots might follow. At that point, it was just a matter of trying to get out of the gates and go to a safe place.
How does this land on your heart, Mr. Overton?
Very heavily. I, as well as Ryder, my son, we're both big Charlie Kirk supporters. It hits home, having it happen here where I actually graduated from college many, many years ago. And it's just a sad day. It's a sad day, and it'll weigh heavy on our hearts for some time to come.
Shout out Kyle.
What was the preparation for you and your son? Was there any, I just summarized with Anna Schechter, you might have heard that my understanding, but you were there, so I want to confirm it with you, sir. Was there any kind of security there at all that you felt or experienced?
Thank you for the super chat, Job. He says, where was this coverage when Democrats and their dog was killed in their home, Cassius? Charlie never let anyone talk end of it. I'm not familiar with what story you're talking about, Job. I typically don't do political content on my channel, so I'm not aware of that. But thank you so much for the support, guys, in the chat. I'm reading it. I really appreciate it.
None whatsoever. There were people in with backpacks, school bags. There was no metal detectors. There was just no one checking anyone coming in. So.
And based on what you saw, were you immediately fearful for Charlie and his health?
By all accounts, when I saw the amount of damage done, wasn't sure that he was going to make it. I was hopeful. His staff did a great job by taking him off the stage immediately, but it wasn't. It happened so quickly, and we were all just at that point concerned about our safety and getting to a safe place.
And how did you go about that, Mr. Overton? I imagine that was a pretty chaotic circumstance.
It was because of the number of people trying to get out the same area that we were. We actually had fallen down, and it could have turned a lot more ugly. But we actually found a break in one of the guardrails or one of the fences there that we were able to get through, and then kept our heads down and ran for as long as we could.
Mr. Overton, I'm lucky enough in this world to be a parent to 3 children. Every parent sometimes gets very difficult questions from their children, hard to answer. I imagine that's a particularly heavy burden on your shoulders this afternoon.
Yeah.
What have you talked with your son about in the aftermath?
Well, we had a discussion about how difficult it is to stand up for your rights, to, listen, we've spent most of the time going back in silence, to be honest with you. It was just trying to wrap our heads around what we had just witnessed. It was difficult. He's dealing with it in his own space right now, and then we will come together when some of this is lifted a little later.
For what it might be worth, Mr. Overton, I wish you and your son and all in your community the very best as you work through that process, which I guarantee you, I know, will be difficult.
Thank you very much.
For anybody just joining, we are covering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We're listening to witness testimonies and tracking details about the suspect. Guys, there's almost 500 people in the chat. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm an up-and-coming creator and streamer trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. If everybody in here hits that subscribe button right now, it's completely free and it goes a long way to support the channel. I appreciate you guys so much for being here, man. I'm reading the chat. We're taking a look at what you guys have to say, and we're going to keep looking at all these details. I'm really anxious for the shooter to be found, personally. I mean, I don't understand how in any reality he can't be found. Look at this. Samantha Marengo, it says here, a teacher in King Elementary School, has posted a video online appearing to celebrate Charlie Kirk being assassinated. Are you serious?
God bless America.
Wow. Wow-wee, man. The way people expose themselves is crazy. Now, mind you, she filmed this video and then clicked post. Like, sometimes when I see people post such ridiculous things, like, I'm shocked by what they put up, but I'm more so shocked by the fact that she filmed this video of herself, she looked at it and reviewed it, and she said, "Yup, that's the one," and then clicked post. You can't make this shit up. It's unbelievable. She willingly posted this, and now she's probably going to lose her job. And again, people could say that you're blowing things out of proportion or whatever the case may be. What if that teacher had a conservative student? Would she be happy that they died? I mean, what is the deal? Oh, look at this. This says, breaking, new footage shows the suspect who shot and killed Charlie Kirk laying on the roof of the Los Center at UVU moments before the shooting. So, guys, this actually might be the first video. Let's make sure you guys can see this nicely. Sage, I do politics here and there, but like I said in the beginning of the stream, I'm responding to the chat here. The reason I stopped doing politics as much is because of this. Because I'm not willing to die for this, personally. Like, I'm an entertainer. I do music and entertainment. I think there's people with a lot of conviction in this world for politics who are willing to put their life on the line for this, and I think they're very brave people, and I commend them for doing it. But I got nieces, and I got a family. That's what I'm more concerned about.
Getting right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
Look at this. This is exclusive footage.
So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. Huh. He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in.
So see, this from this angle, it makes a lot more sense how they were able to get a shot off, because when I first had callers in the beginning of the stream, we were questioning how somebody could have set up a long-range weapon in such a crowd, in such a sea of people. Because if you see the videos, there was all kinds of people around. So it wouldn't have been possible, really, to set up this gun in front of this crowd of people. So if they were on a roof like that from super far away, then yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Again, this is unverified video from social media, so we can't really say that was for sure the shooter. But they're still trying to find the suspect as we speak. Let's keep looking at the information.
Breaking news in the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. A person of interest was in custody but then released. That was Kirk just before an assassin took his life, doing what he had done thousands of times before, talking to college students when he was murdered in front of a crowd of hundreds.
Are you voting for Kamala?
I am.
Okay, what is her...
I have the details of the arrest that ended up not happening. Kirk loved to do. He was the founder of taking questions. It was then later, FBI Director Kash Patel tweeted, "The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able." But guess what? Patel's information did not pan out. Patel later tweeted, "The subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency." So the search for the shooter continues. Charlie Kirk leaves behind a wife, Erica, and 2 young children. Earlier this year, Erica Kirk posted a video on TikTok thanking Charlie for, quote, "being my love story." To discuss this just horrific turn of events, I would like to bring in Bob McEwen. He is a friend of Charlie Kirk's, and he is also a former congressman from the state of Ohio and a board member at Turning Point USA. Bob, first and foremost, my condolences go out to you and everybody at Turning Point and Charlie Kirk's family. How are you doing upon hearing of this news that he's been assassinated? He was murdered.
That's exactly correct. He really was. He gave his life. He impacted the nation more than anyone his age ever. He's like the president. There's no two of them. And it's hard to grasp where we are. He was winsome. He spoke truth. He had nothing to fear. He would just go on a college campus and sit in a chair and just share truth about life, liberty, and the right to pursue happiness, and a firm commitment to his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He was uncompromising, which then knew that the haters would come after him. He had security, but we hoped that this day would never come. And certainly for Erica and the children, I know how upset and distressed I am just to think how they must feel as a horrible few hours that we've endured.
You said that he had security, which, obviously was a good thing. But I mean, were there ever threats that he had received? Was he concerned about his safety, especially after what happened with President Trump and Butler, during the campaign? I mean, he's sitting out in these open air venues. Had he ever talked to you about being concerned for his safety or receiving threats?
The thing is that truth overcomes error, and error cannot tolerate truth. Error can speak with error, and they can just go on and have white papers and discussions and conferences. But once truth enters the room, they all turn on the truth. They have to only the left burns books, and only the left censors. And so he knew that his life was under threat on a regular basis, just really daily. And we've talked about it. He could never take his children to the grocery store or never walk in the park alone. And Erica signed on to that program, recognizing that preserving the greatest hope in the history of mankind, the United States of America, was a noble calling, and he was willing to make that sacrifice. But as you can see, it was one bullet, a person prepared to take him out, and that assassin, who obviously was a hater, and he had to silence truth, because when Charlie had people talk about these things and they began to logically think, it made a tremendous change. We've always said that young people, you really didn't need to worry about them until after they got married, after they became parents, and after they got a job, that they would all become conservatives eventually. And so just let them talk about socialism and communism and things when they're young. But Charlie didn't believe that. He said, no, let's do it. Let's talk right now. And the shift that's taken place that we've never seen, certainly in any of our lifetimes, that the most conservative demographic is 18 to 25. And it's no small responsibility that he did that across the nation and began to stand up after all of the lies that went on about COVID and you need to stand so many feet apart and you can't be there for your parents' funerals and all these things that the young people began to question. Now, what is that? And when they questioned, he was there with truth, and truth was winning, and that's why they had to take him out.
Breaking news before we continue this clip. A new suspected photo of the shooter has emerged. And again, this is all unsubstantiated stuff from social media, but this is an alleged photo of the shooter on the roof at the UVU campus. So it's all starting to make a lot more sense how he could have gotten away now, because he wasn't around anybody. But this looks like an assassin. Like, this does not... When you see the videos of Crooks, when he was shooting at Trump, at least they made that look like a civilian. When I say they, I think we all know who I'm talking about. But this looks like a trained... Like, this looks like a movie. It's on some John Wick assassin type level.
Where were you when you heard that he had been shot?
Well, I was at my desk, and I got a call from his chief of staff and mentioned that he had just been shot, and it was in the neck, and he wasn't sure. They had no more information than that, and it was a good 15 to 20 minutes after that it then broke on the news that he had been fired upon, and then we prayed, hopeful that he would survive, because I repeat, there's no two like him. There's no one to take his place, but nevertheless, so I'm reaching out to the staff. Obviously, lives have been upended.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you to everybody subscribing.
That was the goal, and all we can do is we think about what the president went through, and they made 2 attempts to get at him as well. And of course, we'll see who's responsible for it. Our nation was blessed by his service and his commitment to righteousness, as our John Adams said about our Constitution, was made for a moral and a religious people. It's wholly inadequate to the government of any other. And so when his commitment and our commitment to preserving life, there are those that just, that arouses such hatred that we've experienced it today, unfortunately.
Guys, there's no source. I just told you, this is unsubstantiated reporting from social media. Those are the words that just came out of my mouth. If you're listening, that's what I said.
This is clearly a political assassination. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was at an event he had hosted hundreds, if not thousands of times on college campuses, and somebody laid in wait to take his life. Do you expect federal charges to come of this? I would think possibly there would be, just because of the political nature of this.
Well, that's what's encouraging, that we do have a Department of Justice that's interested in justice. And while that wouldn't be such a critical point in a state like Utah, where they have common sense, but in places like New York, or the whole idea that they couldn't incarcerate people in North Carolina is why that stabbing took place. We have the same thing in California, and where you don't incarcerate people, that they have what called cashless bail. Cashless bail means that there is no bail. It's like when you steal a car, you can say it's a cashless purchase. So those people are allowed to roam boldly. But in Utah, I think that they would have done a good job. But nevertheless, fortunately, we have a Department of Justice under our current president that will make sure that justice is done. And so he's being prosecuted under the federal law. And under federal law, there is also the death penalty, as the scripture provides.
You gave the toast at Charlie Kirk's wedding. I mean, you were very close to him. You were a Turning Point USA board member. I mean, you'd known him for a really long time. I mean, just talk to me about that relationship.
Well, I repeat, there aren't two people like him. He was a full-time learner. He took 2 hours every day to learn. He began his day faithfully with exercise and time in the scriptures. And then he went to an education of, whether it be on Hillsdale or whatever, reading a book for 2 hours every day. And then he ran a massive organization, $100 million, over 1,000 employees just in the last election. A massive, a lot of people, they say they do a lot of things, but he actually did them. And as a result, I remember, as you know, under the last president, there was this effort to incarcerate anybody that was a conservative. We were at dinner one time. My wife asked that all the people at the table, had anyone there not had the FBI come knock on their door, and no one. All these are all people that you'd recognize their names. And I remember when the FBI came to my door, and of course the purpose that they do that is because it always costs you six figures or more just to respond to them. Not that you've ever done anything. We just want to talk. And I remember when they first came to our door under the last Department of Justice, which was so corrupt. And I remember Charlie said, "Bob, I'm with you. I've got your back." He was an ultimate friend. I thought, here's this little young fellow, younger than my children, and he was just so steady and so strong. And the president of the United States, indeed, an entire nation relied upon him for his strength. And you're seeing the reaction across the country. And the difficulty is young people. As you know, all of us that went to school, we all know that if you were a conservative, you were deeply in the minority. And that was the case up until just about 18 months ago, or 20 months, when it began to turn. And now you see when he shows up, just 2 years ago, Turning Point, when we would try to book him into a venue, the left-wing universities would make it impossible to speak. And if he was attacked, they wouldn't interfere. They wouldn't protect him. When they were shouted down, and all the things that the left does to truth, because truth overcomes error. And so they have to shout them down. They have to silence them. They have to prevent them, drive people away. But about 18 months ago, all of that began to become so overwhelming that the kids began to show up in such numbers that they weren't able to do that anymore. And as you saw just today, that when the crowd, over 3,000 kids, as far as you could see, And the difficulty at that venue was the sound was not strong enough for all of the people that were there. There is a change that's taking place to our country. You see it religious, spiritually, churches, particularly Catholic churches, but many churches there's a growth. Bible sales this year are up 22% over last year. Young people are turning back to faith and to faith in their country. And he played no small part in that. And if that's doubted at all, I think you can ask any kid on any campus, and they can say, yes, I thought I was alone a couple of years ago. Now I see, because of what Charlie said and did, I can see that I wasn't alone. The people began to show up. And that's what's so encouraging about America, is so excited. I'm more positive about our country I've ever been in my life. And that's why the haters are just so frightened, because they see America being restored to its roots. And he gave his life for that cause.
For anyone just joining, we are covering Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old political activist, murdered, assassinated in broad daylight at the UVU campus in Utah. We're going to read a couple more reactions, and again, I appreciate everybody for being along for the ride, being along for the coverage. Everybody who's subscribed so far, I appreciate it. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers, so every single one helps. New post from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, of all people. I got to tell you, I was actually quite surprised to see Netanyahu weighing in on this with everything he has going on. You'd think he might have his hands a little bit full. But taking a moment to post not one but two statements on X about Charlie Kirk. His most recent statement says, Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking truth and defending freedom. A lion-hearted friend of Israel, he fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization. I spoke to him only 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Sadly, that visit will not take place. We lost an incredible human being. His boundless pride in America and his valiant belief in free speech will leave a lasting impact. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Now, this is certainly bound to draw lots of criticism, not only because, anything Netanyahu will draw criticism, but also due to the fact that Charlie Kirk was facing a lot of criticism for his support of Israel. Now, there are also conspiracy theories that Israel may have been involved, which, to be fair, that's always the conspiracy whenever anything happens. People, claim that Israel has some sort of involvement, but one of the rumors that was going around, and again, I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's not true. You can make up your own mind. You guys are more than capable of that. But one of the things I have been seeing on X is that Charlie was actually worried that he may be facing violence due to his changing stance on Israel. Now, I don't know what to make of that. What do you guys think? Look, that's the top comment right here. You guys had him killed in fear of him turning to the truth about Israel. Influence in America. What do you guys make of that? That's a whole other can of worms. Candace Owens posting on social media. Her initial statement said, everyone please stop what you're doing and pray for Charlie Kirk, please. Her next statement says, I can't process this. Candace is also sharing some information that may be leading to finding out who the suspect actually is. So she reposted this thread that says, any posts indicating I am the shooter at Charlie Kirk's event are defamatory. Who is this person? Andrew Piscaldo. Who the heck is this? He says, any posts indicating I am the shooter at Charlie Kirk's event are defamatory. Behold, everyone, my camera sling. Any reporter coming to my address, filming, or who will dox my family, I will become a problem for you for years. And Candace says, FYI, this is the person in the photos that have been circulating on the UVU campus. So Candace Owens, this is breaking news now. Candace Owens insinuating that this person, Andrew Piscaldo, may actually be implicated in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's big for Candace. That's a big thing for Candace and her platform to be sharing. So I hope that she's sure. Then again, Candace is very bold. So I think she's shared many things before without being entirely sure. You know, I have nothing against Candace, but she definitely has that track record, to say the least. She also shared this thread that says, a private jet under the tail number, and they say the number, left Provo Airport an hour after the shooting. Suspiciously, 30 minutes into the flight, it drops off ADS-B illegally and reappears headed back to Provo approximately an hour later. Why did this plane turn off its radar, and where is the shooter? So people are going full detective on this now. People are going full detective mode on this now. People saying it was his first leg on his trip back to Israel. Oh my gosh. Candace says, if anybody knows anything about this, please comment below or send me an email. Now, I think we can be sure that Candace is going to be doing tons of coverage on this. There's no doubt in my mind that Candace will definitely be doing a whole series on this. What do you guys think of Candace Owens? Chat, does my chat like Candace Owens, or you dislike Candace Owens? I would love to interview her. I think it would be an incredibly fascinating conversation. Someone says Candace is worried she would be next. I've worried about that too. I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't mean to be flip about it. But like I said in the beginning, I wasn't necessarily surprised that somebody wanted to kill Charlie Kirk either. I was more so surprised that they actually did it. But Candace is involved in some stuff that I think incites even more animosity and even more violence. Candace is definitely involved in some serious stuff, some heavy stuff. So she's got to be careful. These people have to be careful. I don't want to see anything happen to anybody, especially people with kids. I don't want to see this happening. But it is a sad reality that when you push it to a certain level, you do make yourself a target. Hopping over to one more statement before we look at another clip. Vivek Ramaswamy. He did have a statement up. He says, Charlie Kirk was more committed to peaceful, open dialogue with those who disagreed with him than anyone I know. God blessed him with immense gifts, and he used them boldly and without fear. He knew the risks he was taking, but he did it anyway because he loved his kids and felt a responsibility to the nation they would inhabit. I traveled the entire country with him last year. We spent one-on-one time together in Ohio 2 weeks ago. Spoke to him again 2 days ago. He's long warned of the rise of political violence and the growing culture of assassination when few were willing to listen with a clarity of vision unlike anyone I've known. Completely and utterly devastated. This is the new statement from Vivek Ramaswamy speaking on Charlie Kirk. Heavy stuff, guys. Heavy stuff. I'm trying to find a couple more clips for us to go into. But really all I can find is stuff about his passing. I mean, this has really lit up the internet like nothing I've ever seen before. Unbelievable.
Joining us now is Dustin Walcher, a political science and history professor at Southern Oregon University. And Dustin, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure.
You just heard the governor talk about the threat to free speech. It's something we've seen throughout the history of this country. What is the context that people should remember about this constitutional right, both its origins and continued threats?
Well, I mean, it's the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's pretty foundational to who we say we are as a country, that you have a right to express your views about any subject freely without fear of government retaliation against you. And so I'd say it's foundational.
Recent years, political violence has received a whole lot of attention with the ability to share information at an incredibly fast pace online. How does this compare to other moments throughout history? And does it just feel different because of our exposure now?
I think it's a combination of those things. We have tools now with social media and the like that allow a lot of folks to live inside something of an information bubble and hear what they want to hear and talk to the people who they want to talk about. We've had other time periods where increasing number of people thought that their neighbors were fundamentally morally compromised because of their political views, or fundamentally corrupt, where they couldn't talk to one another, where norms have broken down. And we've seen increases in political violence in those times. The 1890s, the 1960s come to mind. And so I think I don't have the numbers, but certainly anecdotally, I would agree that we're in a time period where political violence seems more heightened. I think that we can find other time periods where similar things had happened without the technology that we have today.
Charlie Kirk, of course, was a young activist who represented a new generation of the GOP, but we've seen political violence against a lot of Republican leaders recently, including President Trump, lawmakers in Minnesota. Is there a common thread through these cases beyond just their political party?
Well, I mean, the assassination attempts in Minnesota included Democratic lawmakers, so I think we've seen this kind of go all over the place. I think the common thread for the two attempted assassinations against President Trump, today's tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, the Melissa Hortman, John Hoffman assassinations in Minnesota, threats against judges from a variety of political views, really sort of centers on that sort of breakdown within society of considering the opposition a loyal opposition or part of the same, pulling in the same national direction. And I think that's the fundamental breakdown that we're looking at.
We'll look at one more breaking news update here. And by the way, I'm so sickened and disgusted by the way this shit is being reported, man. Like, the media in America seriously needs some kind of overhaul, or they need new influence. Like, whoever's running the media, which we all know who it is. Let's stop pretending we don't. These people need to be removed. Like, there seriously needs to be an overhaul of the media and the people who are running it in the United States. Just look at the writing of this headline. Charlie Kirk shooting. Trump blames radical left, but does not mention attacks on Democrats as search for suspect continues. What a bullshit headline by The Guardian. Absolutely. Here's what the headline should have said. Trump blames radical left as search for suspect continues. That's what the headline should have said. Why are the people in control of the media allowed to insert their own personal narratives into everything? Why is every news story an opinion piece in the United States? I've said this because I don't live in North America anymore. And I've said this about news in Canada. It's the same in Canada when I was living there. Every news story is an opinion piece. So it gets to the point where when you're watching the news in America or you're watching the news in Canada, you're not watching the news. You're watching or reading somebody's opinion about the news. The news is the information that the news anchors are getting. So when they get their piece of paper, the CNN host or the Guardian writer, when they get the tip, that's the news. Traditionally, what they were supposed to do was take that news and report it to the people as is. That is what news is. That's what news is supposed to be. News is not supposed to be you get the news and then you give me your opinion about it, or you give me your narrative or your twist on it. That's not news. That's an opinion piece. Why is every article, every news segment, every news show, every panel an opinion piece in the United States? This needs to be stopped, and it needs to be stopped now. This is not reporting. This is not a community service to people, and this is not informing people. This is not news. Saying Trump doesn't, you're literally reporting on something that didn't happen. Literally, a headline is telling me what did not happen and what they think should have happened. If Trump didn't mention the attacks on Democrats, folks, I hate to break it to you, that's not news. You're telling me about something that did not occur, and you're passing it off as news. There needs to be an entire overhaul of the editorial system in the United States. These people are poisoning the minds of the public, and they are getting people hurt. How is this acceptable? In no serious country on the planet is news reported this way. It doesn't matter if it's in the UK. I'm talking about all of these mainstream news networks that are controlled by the same people in various countries. This is not news. This is editorial. This is opinion. An absolute joke. Absolute joke. So the manhunt continues for the person who is a suspect. Yeah, I mean, this article is absolutely absurd. So what do you guys think, man? What do you guys make of all this madness? The madness never ends. Whatever. All I'm going to say is this. I'll say it. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Again, I'm not worried about losing followers. I'm not worried about losing support. I'm plenty comfortable where I'm at. And I'm going to say it once again. If you champion somebody who's a human being, a father, a son, a husband, being murdered in cold blood, then I don't want to do business with you. If you support somebody being murdered like this, I don't want you to follow me. I don't want you to watch my stuff. I don't need you in my orbit. And I hope they find the person who did this, and I hope they find them quickly, because I'm starting to become incredibly suspicious of this entire thing. This reeks of a psyop. This reeks of a setup. And something very, very fishy is going on. And I'll tell you guys this. This is a lot bigger than Charlie Kirk. A lot bigger than Charlie Kirk. And we're in big trouble if we don't get this solved. I appreciate you guys checking in with me. To all the new subscribers and viewers, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting my road to 100,000. Thank you for supporting an up-and-coming creator who strives to give you unbiased news. The one thing I will never do is masquerade news as an opinion or vice versa. If I have an opinion, I will tell you it's my opinion. If I'm going to cover the news, I'm going to cover the news. It's very simple. We covered a lot in this show. We had far right people call in, conservatives. We had people on the far left call in, and we gave everybody their say. But most of all, stay safe out there, guys. Shit's getting crazy. Learn basic self-defense. Keep your family close. And if you're religious, then pray. That's what I will say to end this stream, because it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. I wish safety upon everybody watching this, and God bless each and every one of you.